meeting to order, if we could, please. Nelson Fiscal Court will meet in closed session per KRS 61-810-1C, discussions of proposed or pending litigation against or behalf of a public agency. In particular, we'll do that at the tail end of our regular business meeting. The minutes, we just received the minutes, so we're going to hold that to our next court meeting. Let's go straight to the bills and transfers.
Excuse me, Judge. I can't remember. Did we miss an approval of the minutes for one meeting? Or is this what the...
This was a special meeting.
Right.
That we had.
Did we get the last one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Yeah, we approved the last court meeting.
We didn't have the...
I remember.
We didn't.
Yeah.
I was just checking the meetings.
Yes.
Fact checked. He was fact checked.
I'd like to officially welcome Eric Shelburne to court.
Welcome. Let's go to the bills, the most important issue. Paying the bill.
Judge, you thought Keith was bad. You don't see he looked like he bled on his.
He's got more red ink than Keith does.
And he forgot to bring coffee.
On the bills list, the road fund, there's several payments out to the road fund. The major expense this court meeting is your two required appropriations to the health department, nearly the $400,000 range. Our tax money came in, so we kind of hold those invoices till we get our tax receipts.
That's 2 quarters, is that right?
2 quarters, yes. And that's based on a formula that the state dictates on that, so we have to.
Is it based on population?
Population.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills as presented.
Motion's been made to approve the bills by Sam. Is there a second? Second by Bernard Ice. Any further discussion? All approved, say aye.
Aye.
Disapprove? Motion will carry. Just let me know now. There's one more came in.
No, there should be several.
Let's do something that here I've got from matter of public record. I want to enter into the fiscal court minutes for historical purposes. I have a letter here from Magistrate Jerry Hahn where he resigned. I think that needs to be put in on November the 1st. Then I have an executive order from the governor appointing Eric Shelburne to magistrate in 5th District. Then I have the third item to go into the record is the oath of office that I administered to Eric yesterday. Please. We've got a little history here in the future. Somebody asked, how come he started serving 20 years from now? So what is he doing? Next would be the order setting the bond requirements for public officials each year, or every election cycle. Certain folks that are elected have to post bond. One being the county judge, the jailer, coroner, deputy coroners, county clerk, county attorney. The sheriff has 3 separate bonds to post, one being just a regular performance bond, the other is the advancement bond, and the other is the revenue bond. You guys have an order in front of you.
I'll explain it. What's the advancement bond?
Advancement bond, each year, when the sheriff cuts off on December 31st, he's on a calendar year. And so he has to have money. He starts off on January 1st with $0 in the bank. And so he gets an advancement from the state based on the projected revenue he's going to get. And it's done on a monthly basis.
I'll make a motion that we sign the order for the bond.
Motion's been made. Is there a second to approve?
I'll do a second.
Second by Sam. I saw Eric's eyes. He came close to jumping on it.
Come on, put your feet in the fire.
Your name in the
Look like a lot of money to me. I'm gonna let you all stick your foot in it first.
All approved, say aye. Aye. Disapproved? Motion carries. The county pays these bonds for the elected officials.
What does these bonds cost? Can I ask that?
That bond, let me just go on what we were last term. The $10,000 bonds, usually about $110 or so.
$110 bond for
$110 premium for the bond.
I got you. Is that renewable every year?
Every year.
Okay.
And that's just a requirement of, I think that's.
And that's
part of the Constitution.
That's based on the minimum amount of money that they handle.
Well, no, this is not ours. Ours is just a performance bond.
Okay.
And 10,000 is the minimum. Some counties require quite a bit more from their elected official, but all that adds up to real money too.
I know.
Next would be just discussions, I guess actually for you guys to take this and start reviewing it, revised ABC ordinance. The state has recommended to counties that have alcohol sales to get a little more detail with their ordinance. Matthew took the liberty of drafting this. I think he took it from whatever the state then adapted it to us.
Yeah, they have a model ordinance out there, the ABC folks, and so we took their model ordinance and then plugged in our,
Ours.
yeah, our hours of service type of thing that we had from our old one, and submit that to you guys for your review.
And if you'll notice in the ordinance, they've got the state fees listed, just for reference, and we only have a requirement for Sunday sales, the drink license sales, really our only required ordinances. I mean, not ordinance, our required fees. I feel like the state fees are high enough, somebody doing business, and I don't think, obviously, we could increase revenue that way, but I'm not proposing doing so. To look at it, if you have any recommendations, I'll be you guys to listen. Between now and the next court meeting, you would, please. Next would be the road department report. Here comes the, let me do the general report. Let me see, I think we got to, let's take a pause here. The clerk, is everybody here now, Lee?
Well,
Okay, yeah, let's go ahead to the road department report then, Brad.
You're going to do the general report first before we get into all the other.
You can.
All right, so for chip sealing, we finished Caney Fox, Woodlawn Road culvert has been chip sealed where we did that project, Sam, for the year. Jail we're trying to finish up Wheeler Right. I mean, we wanted to do it today, but I called them off because of the wetness. We have the oil, we're done with oil. We can't get any more, but we've got one load sitting at the shop. Weather permitting, we'll get it tomorrow. On November 5th, we had a real good storm come through. Eric, it was actually more related to you guys' area where I had a lot of flooding. We had to do some issues out on Simpson Creek and Timber Creek. Of course, we had the freezing rain event this past week. We had over 50 county roads that either were completely blocked or majority blocked. So that's all we did for the public, so they know. That day, all we did was open up the roads. That was it. We will come back and start the cleanup process. So be patient with us. All we did was cut it and get it open, and we're coming back through and slowly but surely trying to get around to picking everything up for everybody. Plum Run, we fixed a culvert down there that was a concrete one pulling apart. We're actually going to finish it up today. We pulled it back and poured some concrete around and tried to hold it. But Moore's broke down. We had a crack in it that we're fixing, and hopefully it'll be fixed the next day or two, waiting on some shims. So that's where we're at that. And that's really for the general reporting.
Okay, let's go to first item on the agenda was the Highway 150 Springfield Road project. As you guys know, within the next or near future being in the next 12 to 18 months, hopefully the balance of the 150 project will be started. They're buying the right-of-ways right now, and part of that would be they're changing Leslie Ballard Lane. The entrance to Leslie Ballard Lane will come out. Basically, they'll shut that current. It's kind of at an angle, and make a T. I call it a T or a 90 degree, a little bit further down for sight distance and so forth. Brad, did you bring your papers? I got papers to show you guys.
Or are we gonna have to vote to close that other section of the road?
The state will do that.
They'll close it.
They'll close it.
It won't be there.
Through their processes. And they're wanting to give us that, this new section. Brad, ours is pink, isn't it?
Correct.
Ours is pink.
We only get, well, we get two items really. You get Leslie Ballard's new little
And Maywood
finger
entrance.
that's going to tee into it, and then you get the new Maywood entrance.
into it. That's
Maywood entrance is now going to be lined up with Parkway Avenue. Isn't that the name of Parkway Drive? Whatever it is.
Parkway Drive.
Yes.
Yes.
And so that's going to be deeded back to us as a county road.
There's a little pie shape there too, will come back to us.
And that really needs to be sold off as surplus, that little pie-shaped thing.
We can talk about that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that way we wouldn't have to maintain it, that's for sure. That pink is gonna be ours, that's gonna be ours.
so that's Maywood right there.
Where's the one on Leslie Power, for the new entrance?
It'll be a cold day before whatever happens.
Another small.
Sorry. Is it? Okay. What about, no, I'm talking about the new entrance off of
Leslie Ballard Road right there.
Okay.
They're giving us this little
Okay.
sign right there. See it? And they-
Here's what they're doing, here's 150 here,
Okay.
and there's what they're gonna
Okay.
leave.
Their right of way's gonna come way back.
Basically, just take it straight out. You'll be able to look both ways for the traffic. Right now, you come out, if you come out of Leslie Ballard, you're looking back at an angle. Just be aware, we have a resolution in place. We'll make a copy for you guys for the next court meeting.
We've done this on Louisville Road when they did the realignment there. Only one other one I can remember, Dean.
Lowell Road's a big one.
Right. Okay. If you got one later, I can show you on this, the big map.
Yeah.
I mean, it's up there, Dean.
You can go ahead.
The little finger's talking about Leslie Ballard Lane's right here.
Yeah.
So they're gonna discontinue this part, they'll deed this to us, and that becomes part of the county road system. We already own all this back here, when we say own, maintain. And then Maywood Avenue now comes out this way, they're gonna grab it, line it up with Parkway.
Now, Brad, go down there and show about where Leslie Ballard Lane will come out now.
Right there,
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's it.
right there. If you drive by there now, there's stakes out there.
Yeah.
They've already staked it.
They've done that.
But this is the section, and then this is the section that they're asking us to accept into our system through resolution. Same process we did Louisville Road.
I'll get you guys that resolution. I'll take it up our next, first meeting in December. Any questions? We'll suspend this business here and go to the county clerk. She wants to make a presentation.
Well, I did want to come before you folks today and give the girls who work in that office a little bit of credit and acclamation. Thanksgiving is here, and this county owes a huge debt of Thanksgiving, in my opinion, to these girls that staff that office. We're going to have a fairly large change here in the next little bit, so I think there's a huge lack of understanding on the part of the public and generally probably everyone about what goes on in that office and the amount of work and the amount of legal knowledge that we as a staff have to have in order to run that office properly. We hear constantly about customer service. Customer service is our business. Our business is records, whether it's on the motor vehicle end of things, whether on the election end of things, or the land records end of things, or in the financials. We are about records, and the important records in this county are in our office. The second thing, beyond doing our work, meeting customer needs, doing those jobs correctly, is that we do it pleasantly and efficiently, and this staff is excellent on every count, in my opinion.
I agree.
So the third part of that is accounting, literally for everything we do in that office. So I want to introduce you to the staff that is at work in that office right now. The motor vehicle division, and if you girls don't mind standing at least once, is Teresa Carter, Stephanie Ellsworth, Jeannie Clark. Is Jeannie here?
No, she still has customers.
We had a little problem getting out of there. Audrey Boland is a tall lady. Jenny Miles is Jenny with a J. Trevor Greenwell. And Gail Brown and Jenny Lameau do quite a bit of the motor vehicle work as well. We do a lot of cross work. One of the things, it's not just a matter of doing a renewal, it's a matter of transferring vehicles, it's a matter of getting forms when we must do that, anytime in March in particular, and changes are in the works related to motor vehicles. These girls are dealing with two computer systems. The old Avis system that we're very familiar with, the Avis-Cavis technology. Avis is the old system. They have to use it until the state manages to to get thousands and thousands and millions, literally, of records over into CAVIS. They're getting ready to go into the boats. We've done them incrementally. But the girls have met the challenge of trying to get each and every piece of that technology into their brains. You don't have a clue as to how much these people have to know just to do that one job. Along with the motor vehicles is reporting every single day. Reports on top of reports. Jenny Lameau did not make it over.
Yeah.
Jenny is our go-to person. She knows almost anything in there that we don't have knowledge of, and the girls know everything for the most part, but we do get these little quirky things that come up pretty regularly. And I'm going to maybe take a little bit longer than we need to take, but people just need to understand what goes on in that office. This is where the vision is. This is where we collect most of the funding in that office. Much of those funds go to you, to Extension. We divide every piece of usage tax and tax that we collect in that office amongst about 6 or 8 different entities. So it's full-time bookkeeping. And we do it pretty much to the penny. So I've got to give the girls huge credit for that. Jenny Lameau does reporting in the morning. Angela Pierce and Gail Brown have been our financial people. Gail has been the main bookkeeper for many, many, many years, 30 plus years. Angela is the bookkeeper in training, basically, and she's always known a good portion of it. Jenny Lameau does a great portion of it. The point is that people work from one area to another. They have to. We're a little bit stressed right now because I'm pulling 2 girls out of the land records to do other jobs. They work part-time up there at the other job. One of those is elections, by the way. Now, Kathy Marks, Kathy, is our guru as far as one of the 3 gurus as far as the land records is concerned, but Kathy also has taken on the challenge of elections. The other elections person is Audrey Boland. Both those girls will manage to keep that job running as long as they're able to do the jobs. So I just cannot speak highly enough of this staff and the challenges. Have I missed anyone? Christy, oh, well, I didn't miss you on purpose. Christy's one of the 3 of the land records, so she's down there day in and day out. If the other 2 are up and down, Christy's down there with a part-timer who I think got caught over there, Teresa Darling. We have a second part-timer who comes in and does some of the day-to-day labor that, you know, is mail out, so that's Susan Popham. And then I have a part-time lady who comes in and helps do not transfers, but renewals, named Denise Morrison. So, sorry, Christy. But I actually had in my mind to go through motor vehicles, land records. The 3 main people in land records have always been Angela, Christy, and Kathy. The elections now is Kathy and Audrey. And the financials is pretty much Jenny Lameau and Angela as soon as Gail retires. So it is the season of Thanksgiving. This county really, you don't miss something until it's gone. If this gets messed up, it's a huge mess up. As the county attorney should be able to attest to, we are legal. We don't do things because we want to do them. We do it because they're legal. We don't, if you treat everyone fairly, if everyone waits in the same line as everyone else, if everyone is treated according to law, then I have, in my experience, we manage to get through this. We sometimes have the challenge of people who don't want to do what the law says we have to do. We try very very conscientiously to explain that we can't do this because, and we have the law there. If we get in a really tough situation, we call the county attorney. But it's rare. It's pretty rare.
Very rare.
The girls do an excellent job. The things that we hear, the girls, you know, that come through all the, I call them social media quarterbacks, are usually so wrong, so completely wrong. So the girls need their moment of acclamation.
We appreciate
the girl and Trevor. One other thing. that I would like to mention, that just so happens one of those gentlemen is here. We have between 100 and 120 people who come in every election and work the polls. You don't have a clue as to how much work an election is, how much we have to do ahead of time to get those voting machines set, so that when you go there, you have the option of voting for whatever district you vote in, whether it's a city or a school district, and by the way, those lines are not the same, whether it's a magisterial district. One of the jobs we do day in and day out is put a voter in and assign him to the correct magisterial district, to the correct school district, to the correct city, if they apply. So that when they go to the polling place, and we have done the work to get the ballot on a machine that applies in that polling place. It's very, very easy for people to come in and massively say, we are not getting the right ballot. Guess what? Out of 16,000 people, we might have had 5 mistakes, maybe 10, but we had very, very few mistakes that were reported, and actually none from the voters. And now we do know that there 1 or 2 voters had a couple of mistakes. If that happens, it's up to the voter to realize that and let the poll worker know ahead of time. That being beside the point, we handled a machine that went down on election day. It was up, we had a machine replaced. Of course, it was in several miles down the road, but we had that machine up and running again within probably half an hour. So it's a massive job. I want to explain that. It is, and I am so grateful to these girls for the job that they've done over the past 8 years with me. Now Jeanette's here, who's going to be the next county clerk, and I appreciate y'all's time, and I appreciate the girls. So.
You know, I will make a comment. Elaine approached myself probably about weeks ago, and said she was actively making sure when she steps aside that everyone's properly trained or cross-trained within the office for Jeanette to be able to go a little smoothly, so we appreciate those efforts on the county clerk's part.
It's important even if there's not a change, and it's very important that if something happens to a person, someone else can take that job. Very important. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I got one question. Hey, buddy, how do you handle all them women? I didn't find them. Is it a day-to-day challenge? That's all I have.
Just know that when she was saying the girls, you were included.
And you know what? That is a slip of the tongue that has been hard to get over.
Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, moving on to the prior report, road design standards. I put a copy in your mailbox of a hard copy that Brad has made some proposed amendments to. Also, Brad, I think you got a couple of handouts.
Yep, sure do. I don't know what you guys have,
of course,
you don't
the
have.
nuts and bolts are the main thrust of this, is the dense grade thickness, the blacktop thickness. And so I asked Brad to let's calculate. The city did an estimate on a development that did not have a lot of lots in it, and I wanted to use what was the average lot cost increase if we went to these standards. And
So basically what I looked at was Pembroke Place, and then South Fork Trail. And the reason I intentionally picked these two, because Pembroke we had some issues with. And then South Fork Trail was one we just did.
This new one we just released.
Yeah. You know, the length is what I looked at, and then how many lots there were. Pembroke, you had 35 lots. Basically, if you went with the new design that's being proposed, which means increasing your dense grade to 9 inches, adding 3 inches asphalt base, which is what we do now, and then 1.25 inches, no, actually, let me back up. 9 inches of dense grade, 3.5 inches of base, now we do 3. And 1.25 inches of surface, which now we do 1. And for Pembroke, it added $1,300 per lot. Then you took the additional cost to build that road structure, spread it out of 35 lots, you got $1,300. For South Fork Trail, it was 23 lots out there. If you went through the same process, it added basically $1,000 and 46 1,046 to it per lot. So that's what we're talking, guys, when we're increasing this structure. That's the nuts and bolts of what I've given you guys. Now, don't get me wrong. You need to go through it. Jeff and I have talked about it. I've talked to the other guys. There's a lot of stuff in there of the details. This is the nuts and bolts of it. More dense grade, a little more asphalt. And the reason we're doing that is what your next handout's about. Over the years, we've had some issues, some roads that have done well, and some roads that didn't do so well. And what you guys are getting is when we took a road in, when we did some repairs to it, and kind of what we did to it. And I'll kind of go through them real quick so I don't bore you guys.
Let me just say this, Brad. Of course, the history that I've had here for 25 years, there are much worse examples that we could go back and pull up.
Yeah, I tried to
in
make
1995.
somewhat fair.
Much worse. And I'm talking about a handful of worse examples.
So for the
But
public,
we've
knows
gotten
what-
better over the years.
Yeah. So what you got is, I looked at Peabody Loop in Chattanooga. That's out in Corman's Crossing. For example, we accepted that in 2006. 2013, we had to go back to repair and patch it on the taxpayer's expense. That was $59,000. In 2017, we had to go back and redo it again. That was $23,000. That was poor soils out in that area, guys. Poplarwood Drive, Sam, that's in your district. 2002, we took it in. 2017, we did some repairs and patches for $1,500, which is minor, because we knew we were going to overlay it 2018. So that road only lasted 5 years before we...
You didn't take into account there all the stuff that he had to do before
Sure.
we would even accept it.
Right.
He did $35,000 worth of extra work.
Again, trying to be fair
Yeah,
on what
correct.
taxpayers use.
Correct.
Clear Creek Drive, that's where I live. 1998, I was accepted into the system. In 2005, so that's 7 years later, we did an overlay on that first part. Vernon, I went back and found that yesterday. I know we talked about it. And then I made this point, we just overlaid it in 2018. So once we got that extra layer of asphalt on it, look how long it lasted compared to the first time. 13 years. Yeah. So that's the reason I put that example in there. Laurel Drive, I gave these guys some credit. They did it in 1995, it lasted 2015. A little better soil up on a ridge. Benelli Drive, Jeff, that's in your district. We have not done anything to it. Drive out there and look at it. It's sunk. It really needs it, and that's in 2009 when it was constructed. Here we are 9 years later.
But Nelly's me, isn't it?
Nelly is.
Yeah,
Okay.
Nelly's me.
Congratulations, Eric. Welcome to the court. Mark's
I've seen it out
Lane.
there. It looks bad.
Mark's Lane, this is a real good example. In 2000, we took it into the system. He had such problems with that prior to us taking it into the system, he lime stabilized it. Terrible soils out in that area, kept cracking apart on it. In 2009, we went and the only thing we've done to it is crack seal it. You know how the asphalt alligator's out, and we crack sealed it to keep the water from getting into it to the subgrade. And then we patched a little area in 2016, and in 2018, we overlaid it. That road lasted 18 years technically, because he did some extra stuff to the subgrade. Now, there's plenty of places where the roads do well as far as our existing. But I've been talking to Eric a lot, I've been talking to you guys a lot about, you guys have enough roads as it is. And without increasing the structure, you're only going to take in roads that are barely meeting these minimum standards. And that'll help. What you're really looking at is new subdivisions, is what it's going to affect. So that's something you guys have to mull through.
And you have less money to operate on based on the gas tax and reimbursements from the gas tax to the counties. And so we don't start improving our quality of what we're requiring, then I think you're going to see in a few years you won't be able to keep up. That'll be worse than what you're dealing with now.
I think you'll also see as new developments take place, the really good soil is about done.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, your
So you're gonna
easy
get
areas
more
are gone.
challenging areas that need this.
I haven't seen this.
What this is, and this is from City of Barsham, they did a really good job of going through the system of what other people were doing as well. And this is just an idea of what some of your other surrounding locations are doing in the area. Some of them are better, some of them are not as good. But that's an idea. You kind of got to look at who are we growing towards, meaning size, like Elizabethtown would be a good example. I think eventually we'll kind of grow into that size community. Shelbyville maybe, Oldham County. We're going to get there. Oldham County, 9 inches of DGA, 4 inches of base, 1 inch of surface. Hardin County, if it's a major street, they're doing 8 inches of DGA, 3 inches of base, 1 inch of surface. So very similar to what we're asking, or considering, I should say. So it's just good information for you guys to see on what our surrounding communities are doing. Now, I highly recommend the document I gave you guys in yellow is...
I gave you the hard copy, so
yes, yellow would be what new language I would want to include or feedback I've gotten from you guys. If it's in red and strike through, just means let's delete it. Trust me, read the details. There's some stuff in there. It may seem minor, but it's important.
Any comments from that?
No, do you want to bring up this new road construction?
I can. That's part of it.
I just think it's,
okay.
We got it out there.
What Keith's talking about is currently, if someone wants a new driveway, we do an encroachment permit process. They pay for the culvert. We in the past have provided up to 10 tons of rock to install that culvert. What I'm recommending is we don't pay for any of the rock. That if you want a new driveway, you pay for the culvert, you pay for the rock. We will haul it and install it for you to make sure it's installed properly and that our ditches. But that is a change. That's one of those minor ones. It's like 2 or 3 words in there where I say we shall provide, and no more am I saying we shall provide. I'm saying we shall install. That's
so
important.
Basically, we're going to supply the labor and they supply everything that costs money.
That is correct. Now, once we install it, we accept
Responsibility.
to make sure it drains.
Yeah.
And if a culvert fails, we'll replace the culvert. That's what we do now.
Correct.
And we replace whatever your driveway material is with like kind, and there's verbiage in there for that. Now, the reason I say that, I'm not coming up with this stuff. There is a KRS that talks about approaches to be kept in repair by owner or tenant. It's their responsibility to maintain their driveway. We get a lot of calls from folks on these big rains of, hey, my gravel washed away, can you come replace it? Nope. Legally, I don't want to go live with Dorcas over there in jail. I can't do that. So that is changing there, but you guys just got to consider on how you want to approach it. So, I think this is a working document. Go ahead, Jeff.
Just a couple of things here.
Yep.
I want to reiterate what Brad said. When you go through here, you see a couple of, I think just 2 words. Read them carefully because they change the meaning very significantly on what we're doing. May not look like much because it's just a couple of words, but it does change them. And I want you all to consider on section K when we're dealing with street signs. It talks about how roads are named and what to do with unnamed private roads. I think this would be a good opportunity to address renaming of roads and the public input that we should make as a matter of policy when unnamed and new roads or renaming of roads. I've got some some ideas on it, and I'll get back with Brad on it. It looks like a good place to do it there.
The yellow is what you're proposing to change.
That's correct, sir.
Will be new verbiage.
Jeff, how does current verbiage?
I don't have any problem with any of it in there, but I would like to consider some addition to how we get public input.
Okay, even on private roads?
Yeah, private roads, of course. I mean, we can do that
private
too.
roads.
You know, that's going to be a lot easier, because you don't have as many people. But when we have situations like Lowell Road, where
yeah, but that was a public road. I'm talking about the private roads.
Can I say something?
There is one real quick I'll read. Naming of all roads shall comply with the appropriate Kentucky Revised Statutes associated with naming streets/roads. So that's a generic, general statement.
Right.
And I think what Jeff's maybe saying is maybe in there somewhere we include some additional verbiage on if the public wants to provide input.
Correct, that's what I'm trying to say.
Trust me, this is you all's document, because I love telling folks, hey, I'm only implementing what the fiscal court wanted here, so
That's what
I'm open for suggestions.
Let's look at that and see.
Now, I think if we got a new private drive, as far as my district's concerned, I would like for the people to come to me. When y'all come up with a name, come to me. I suggest it to the judge.
Okay, who's going to be able to go out, magistrates go out and meet with these people, or?
On
Well, there
new
are
roads-
people.
New roads, Keith, it's part of the subdivision.
No, not new roads, yeah, I'm talking about private roads.
Want to do private roads?
New private roads have to have a name before they're built now.
Yeah.
Well, like a subdivision. Is that what you're talking about?
No, we're talking about that, say if a
No,
guy's
you
gonna plat
develop your
off
farm.
a farm,
And you put a private road.
you put a
in.
private road, you gotta name that.
Well, like Billy Frank's auctioning it off.
But
he has
that's
to
the
name.
responsibility of that guy that's breaking that farm up, or
Yes.
whoever,
Yes.
you know.
That's
I'm just
no
thinking
brainer.
about this to now on Louisville Road, you know.
Uh,
I was
Those are all
right for my
public.
people.
Yeah, but that was
private.
private road, that's a little different
Now,
scenario.
previously, they were not required to be named when he broke them up like that. Now
Right.
they are.
Now they
All
are.
right, so we're in the process of cleaning up unnamed private roads.
A lot of them.
And, you know, we've been going through that for quite a while, Joe. I don't know how many we got left, but, and, you know, you see them every now and then.
Let's get a report for the court, next court meeting, Joe. Would you do that, please, on the dispatch?
But I think it's just a good place to address public input for unnamed private roads and going forward for public roads that we rename is what I'm getting at.
Okay, no problem.
So this is not an ordinance,
This is about order.
by order.
Yeah.
So it's a little easier on the paperwork side, I should say, for you guys to address things.
And I think it's a good thing. It's time to clean up a bunch of this stuff and to stiffen the regulations. It's,
Please, give me
we're way
feedback.
overdue.
I mean, this was I don't want to, I want you all to take on it. So,
Be diligent,
What's your time frame on this? Do you have one? Yeah.
ASAP.
Well, I mean, my only comment to that is there's a lot of stuff that really needs to be looked at here, but,
Yeah, and I've looked at it, I promise you. Of course, most of it involves extra money by the developers and or versus the taxpayers.
yeah.
Okay, next order of business on the road department report would be, you know, Kroger retired and we put Lee in. Where is Lee today, by the way?
he's in training for the drone classes.
Okay, training. Okay.
Did you say drone?
Drone. Yeah. That's a new technology they tell me about. I've heard about it somewhere.
So you gotta have a license to technically do that.
And I'll explain that just in a minute here. So Lee is taking Kroger's position. In doing so, also, we have our two foremen. We kind of, and to Lee's credit, Brad's credit, they have stepped up the game of the two foremen quite considerably. Brad, will you agree with me on that?
Almost definitely. I don't know.
We
if
give
you
them
guys
more
see it or not,
responsibilities
but-
and duties. And in addition, I would like to have some additional training classes for those, initiate some training classes for those through the Road Scholar Program.
Right, similar thing that Kroger and Lee went
Lee's going
through,
to.
but I'm not saying it's a lesser version, it's just not as intense. And so there's certain classes we'd like to send these guys to, flagging, signage, responsibility when they're out on a project where they're responsible for snow, chainsaw stuff, all kinds of good ones that those two guys.
That more relate to their operations. And in doing so, we'd like to take the foremans up to, because we're have added some responsibilities and duties and some additional training, take those two foremans up equally to $23.29 per hour. That's a $1 increase per hour. And now we need a motion to approve that increase to those two guys.
Also make the motion.
Let me get a motion from you. Second. Now, discussion.
Yes.
Thank you, Bert.
What type, how many hours of training is it?
Each class to go to is roughly about 8 hours.
8 hours.
So it depends on how
We're gonna
many
pick and
classes
choose
we
the ones that are
decide we want.
relevant.
Yeah. Like Lee's process he went through, or Kroger as well, you know, that's about a 8-9 month period. It's when they actually offer the
It's
class.
something similar to what we all go to. You get to mingle and mix and,
Yeah and nay. I mean, yes.
Yeah.
But you do get some,
oh, I think it's a very valuable.
They'll learn as much from the guy sitting beside them.
Yes,
Sometimes
they will.
as they will
Teacher,
from the
teacher.
guy doing.
I went to a 2-day course up in Lexington last year on signage, and I'm telling you, it's eye-opening.
It's-
It
There's a lot of
is needed.
liability involved in that.
well,
It's really needed.
It's
in
almost
this area.
scary sometimes.
It is.
you're afraid to even put up a pole.
Yeah, I don't look at them anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's a great class. They do a really good job. The instructors know their stuff out there. So.
So the motion's been made and seconded.
I did
All-
second. I missed the
Second, Bernard Ice.
Okay, thank you.
All approve, say aye.
Uh,
Disapprove? The motion will carry.
Do you want the names of those guys in there?
It would be Paul Draper and Paul Donahue.
Donahue.
Paul 1 and Paul 2.
And both of them are real good about coming out at night on
We
those.
start about 3:30, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And work till dark on them.
Pickup trucks, I think we've got in our budget this year to advertise for some pickup trucks.
Yeah, we had in the budget 3, we're just now getting around to
Need
just getting to it.
court to approve and go ahead and advertise for those trucks where we can pass those down to a couple of much needed people within our department. One might be the recreation dude, maybe. We don't get his hopes up too high.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to advertise for bids.
Okay, thank you, Sam. Is there a second? Okay. Second by Keith. All approve, say aye.
All right, the next motion, Eric gets to do it.
All approve, say aye.
Aye.
Disapprove, motion carried. Thank
We'll
you.
bring it back to you guys.
Yeah, you'll get to see the
And then
numbers.
you get to see the cost. And that's it, Tim.
Jail report, Dorcas.
Okay, today we have a total of 138 inmates. We have 2 on home incarceration. We have 59 state inmates. We have 1 serving weekends. We have 2 that's out in other counties support, so we have an in-house total of 133. Controllers, daily average, controlled intake, we average 28 a day. Class Bs, we average 29 a day. Nelson County inmates, we average 90 a day, so our overall total for October was 148 a day average. New arrests and releases for October, males, new arrivals was 156, females was 56, total of 212. We released 164 males, 66 females, that was a total of 230. District Court, we have 2 sentenced, we have 16 waiting for court, which today is District Court, right? Hopefully, we have 2 on home incarceration and 2 on road beds. And state sentence, we have 38 controlled intake, 23 Class Ds. We have 2 in circuit that serve on weekends. We have 6 out of circuit that is, our state inmates is on community service. And we have 2 that don't work for days out of circuit court. We have 59 in circuit court waiting to be sentenced, so we have a total of 79 that has not been sentenced. And it started yesterday on our fire alarm system, and we're hoping to get them either today or tomorrow, or maybe they'll start finish it up after Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Good job, Dorcas. EMS report?
Some information items. Every year, EMS department does a certain amount of public outreach programs, whether it be CPR training or first aid training, career days at school, such as that. This year, and every couple of years, we try to do something a little more intense, and that would be in the form of an EMT education course. We just finished that EMT education course Saturday, and we had 14 students that passed through their skills, and as of last night are online to do their national registry test to become a certified EMT in Kentucky. So that worked very well. I would publicly thank Eva Pruitt as our education director. She's a class coordinator and lead instructor, but we have other instructors as well, being in this particular class, Lindsay Fedley is a paramedic instructor, and Joey Spalding is also a paramedic instructor, and they assisted with this 3.5-month process. So Those are the type of things we do over and beyond making ambulance runs and treating the injured and sick folks in our community. On the EM side, I've talked several times about weather sirens in the community. Up to now, the county has 12 sirens, including the new location at Nazareth Complex. The city has 5. Most all those sirens are in 1996 models and along that lines. We've been able to replace 6 of those 12 in the county over the last 2 years with some grant funding. We've been improved, Judge signed off on approval for grant monies for 1 this year, but some additional funding came available that will possibly allow us to get 2 more, so we would replace 3 in this cycle, budget cycle. So that'll get us up in pretty good shape as far as the county. Working with the city, they have some age sirens and some issues as well, so we'll try to help them out a little bit as time goes along. But that'd be mine.
Thank you, Doug. Recreation report.
Soccer and football are currently in the off season. Girls basketball has some makeup regular season games next Thursday, and then we'll go into the tournament that weekend. We'll finish up with that December 15th. And in the next couple of weeks, I'm hoping to have my first rec board meeting, and hopefully today I'll notify everybody about that. And other than that, regular park operations.
And make sure you notify the media on that too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, landfill solid waste report.
Our holiday hours will be closed Thursday and open Friday and Saturday. So Thursday's garbage pickup will be on Friday. Fridays will be on Saturday. Just have it out by 7 that morning. Another quick reminder, the landfill passes for 2019, they'll be mailed out in December's billing. So let everybody be looking forward to those, not throw them away. Other than that, just working on permit renewals and normal operations.
It's quite intense, would you say?
Quick question. Limbs, if people put them out, are we picking them up, not picking them up? What are we doing on that?
Well, we've got a standing unwritten policy that we will pick up limbs at a given time, no set time.
Okay.
But we have opened up the old quarry site. For anybody that wants to bring them out. And that's been working real well. But if somebody's doesn't have a pickup or something, just call the road department or my office, and we will make time over the next 30 days or so to get those up.
Okay.
We're trying to do it in between other
I've
jobs.
had several people ask.
And we've made a list already if people would call. We generally only do that on ice storms or storms. We don't do it on a regular basis.
Correct.
And that's usually why. Okay.
Thank you.
Under old new business, our Feed America program this month is tomorrow. That's a week earlier than usual at the fairgrounds. Try to get some, by the way, we do have a nice box of food this Thanksgiving, so it's a little bit more into the goodies than normal. Glad to hear that. And Christmas will be likewise. It will be a week early as well because of the way the holidays fall, trying to get food into the families. There is, you guys have been notified of this, newly elected officials training December 12th through the 14th in Louisville. And I think that's an important tool. I think, Gary, you said you already got signed up. Eric?
I'm signed up.
Okay, good. Jeanette, I think you've got, not Jeanette. Yeah, Jeanette, yeah, your sister. Yeah, I'm thinking about your sister. You've got information on that, have you? Okay. I'll get you that information.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, they should have mailed you one to your house.
Well, I got that one from the Kentucky Association of Counties.
Same thing.
Well, he said it would be in December, there was no dates on it.
Okay, I'll get you that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and no other regular older new business? Yes, Jeff?
Just skip the holiday hours on landfill.
He just reported it.
Was I asleep?
We're closed Thursday.
Okay.
We're open Friday, Saturday.
That made my day. Somebody else that does the same thing. We lost where I am. Now, Keith, you had a question?
Yeah.
Or a comment?
Several of us magistrates went to Thomas Nelson High School 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Yes, and it was a very beneficial class. They had like 15-minute intervals, and the fire department was in mine. The new police officer for Nelson County,
McCoy.
Yes. And I was in one classroom. Bernard and 3 or 4 others was in another. Jeff was also there. And those kids come up with some very interesting questions, and I'm so moved that it's happening like that, because I wish that was when I was in 8th, 9th, 12th grade school. I didn't have a clue what the government did.
Yeah.
You know, and it is educating them. It is, they ask questions like, well, how does this happen? How does that happen? You know, it was very involved. I really liked the class.
I had a game warden and a fireman myself for county government in my class.
Game warden?
Yes, he did a real good job. His duty's unbelievable.
Good.
Mine was about technology, so we had the head of technology for the Nelson County school system out there. So there's more of a career development type, getting the students acclimated to different careers that they thought they were interested in. So it had a wide variety of people throughout the community that came.
I'd say there was probably, what, 100 people in
Yeah,
there?
that's quite a few.
Oh, there's a bunch of people there.
I hope Jim was full.
Dean,
Yes,
mind if
ma'am.
I throw in a little comment?
Sure.
I would just for the record, we had a young lady from Thomas Nelson High School who actually worked the polls this time. We finally managed to get in touch with the proper teacher that she said, oh, I have just the right person. It was great. She was an excellent young lady. The other thing that's going to happen at the polling places, and we had 2 of these in place for this last election, and really you guys need to be on top of this stuff, are e-poll books. You know, the rosters that go out there and the poll workers have to search through for the names. They're going to put tablets, basically they're tablets, at every polling place, and this has been pushed for the last year or 2. They finally got the RFP through. So 10X is the company that's providing these. We had 2 of those this time. One at Cox's Creek School and one at Bardstown Primary. Cox's Creek did not touch their roster. Now it just so happens that I have a staff member, Trevor being one of them and Audrey the other, in each of those polling places. So they were very comfortable using those things. But probably by the next election, every polling place will have one of those, probably. It does make it much easier. So technology is part of our...
somebody,
you can be...
they still have to sign in, don't they?
They have to sign it. And that's the thing that went wrong. The stylists were junk, basically. They put their driver's license into that, and that brings it up. If not, they type in the last 3 or 4 digits or numbers of their... It's a little scary, but it is all connected. You know,
I was born in the wrong generation.
But and then clerks have questioned over and over and over again the security. But we're going there. We are going there.
I think the paper's more secure than that computer, the way people hack into them.
I don't like it.
Well, and that's the other part of that is the other part of that office. And I don't really have time to go into this whole business of the office, but the technology. The technology. Be prepared, people. It is going great, guys. Thank you all.
Thank you.
This time, entertain a motion to go out of regular session and into closed session as per KRS 61810. 1C, where discussions of proposed or pending litigation against or behalf of a public agency.
This is the big one. I'll make a motion.
First motion, thank you. Second by Jeff Lear. All approved, say aye. Aye. Disapprove. Motion carried. Very good. We could conceivably take action afterwards.
Actually, I didn't turn off the one I thought, but the power was off, sir.
Okay, at this time, I would entertain a motion to go out of closed session and back into regular session.
Make the motion.
Motion has been made by Jeff Lear. I'll second. By Eric. All approved, say aye. Aye. Disapprove. Motion will carry. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Made by Jeff, second by Sam. All approved, say aye. Aye. Disapprove. Motion will carry. Now, I'll have a hard time with these names.